According to youthsports.org, there are nearly 3 million youth soccer players in the United States today. Whether you've played soccer, play soccer still, watch, or have children, or possibly none of the above, soccer could still be impacting you. Therefore, the history of soccer demonstrates the ways in which it still impacts us today and has impacted the past. As a player for 16 years, I've had the opportunity to broaden my perspective and gain new insights on the ways in which soccer has impacted me as both a player and a non-player. Therefore, I'd like to discuss how soccer began, the rules, and why it's prominent in everyone's lives today. Soccer advocates for itself and its popularity and its history. As the game began nearly 2,000 years ago in China, it had no rules, and therefore the country accredited with providing the first rules is actually England. The first rule that they created was forbidding tripping, and the second rule they created was forbidding touching the ball. And after they created the rule of forbidding touching the ball, that gave the game a technical aspect in which those could no longer trip each other in order to get the ball back. And although England did create the first rules, the country who coined the modernization of soccer is actually Scotland. And this is actually a recent discovery, as a book was uncovered known as the Vocabula. And this book was written in the early 1800s, in which terms that are known today in modern soccer, such as field positions like goalie, striker, midfield, defense, were all pronounced in this book. And within the book of the Vocabula, there are also plays and types of play. And so Scotland also provided the first FIFA team, which was created by John Hope in Edinburgh in 1824. And although FIFA doesn't accredit Hope with having the first FIFA team, the rest of the world has seen this team. And the reason why FIFA doesn't accredit Hope with having the first team is due to the team's inability to obtain longevity. The team only lasted for 17 years. However, within that 17 years, they provided an important aspect to the game known as possession play. And so this play gave soccer its modernization and its ability to become what it is today. Essentially, possession play is the plays in which teammates use each other to make short passes and move down the field quickly around the opponent. So these rules have allowed for structure and created a new mental game that was not there in the past. Therefore, the new mental game and the physical aspect of soccer have allowed for its prosperity. And within the game, there's also an important aspect of how many players are on the field, and each team gets 11 players, and each team has a goalie and 10 field players. And so, starting from the back, we have the defensive line, which helps the goalie. We have the midfielders, who have the technical capability to work the ball using short possession play. And then we have the forwards, or strikers, who will be at the forefront trying to score on the other opponent's goalie. And so, with those rules in place, the game did tend to die down if the game ended in a draw or a tie. And so in order to bring back the excitement to the game, FIFA put in place a rule of a penalty kick June 1st of 1981. And essentially, a penalty kick is a time in the game in which a forward and a goalie will go head-to-head from 12 yards apart, and a ball will go on a line, and a goalie will be in the goal, and the forward will attempt to score on the goalie without any other interference from other players. And so, with that being said, a draw was no longer capable. So, in the 2006 World Cup, we had the most intense match of Italy and France, in which they came to a draw 1-1 in the 90th minute. And for those that don't know, soccer is 2 halves of 45 minutes each, and Italy and France went into a shootout in which one player goes from one team, and then the next player goes from the next team. Well, unfortunately, Italy lost the coin toss and had to go first. And this puts a lot of pressure on the team who goes first, because if you don't make it and your opponent goes second and makes it, you could lose. So Italy and France both made their first 3 shots. And the 4th shot, Italy made. And the 4th shot, France did not make. So that gave Italy the opportunity and the upper hand, because if they made their next shot, they would win. And Italy did make their last shot, and they won 5-3 in a penalty shootout. So with this being said, players who performed well under pressure became prominent influencers of the game. And such prominent players in not only the US, but around the whole entire world. And it's very interesting to note the fact that in 2019, the top 3 highest paid athletes were in fact soccer players. And those 3 soccer players were Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar. And it's interesting to note that Ronaldo made $105 million. However, only $60 million came from soccer. Therefore, $45 million must have come from something else. And with a little research, it was found that Ronaldo made $45 million from endorsements. And although Ronaldo was endorsed by numerous companies, he had the opportunity to be endorsed by Nike. And with that endorsement, Ronaldo had the capability to produce cleats for players to wear around the world, shin guards, which are protective wear, and jerseys that can be seen and worn all over the world, and not just in the United States. And so with the top 3 players being men, you begin to wonder, how have women grown to be a part of the game? And in fact, one of the most influential players is a woman who is considered to be the pioneer for gender equality within sports, and her name is Mia Hamm. Mia Hamm has won numerous Olympics and numerous World Cups, and she was actually born in America. She played for the U.S. women's national team, and recently she wrote a book titled Winners Never Quit. And although this book is for young women, it does help to promote the idea that women can play sports and can do well. And essentially, Hamm is one of the pioneers for creating equality within equal pay as well. Throughout the history of soccer and women's soccer alike, women have been underpaid and underrepresented. Men of the United States have not made a World Cup or an Olympics in the past 20 years. The women have made both the World Cup and both the Olympics in the past 20 years, every single year. And therefore, they deserve to be paid at least as much as the men, if not more, because they've made these cups in these tournaments. And so what the women fought for was the right with FIFA to be paid an equal amount at least. And so what they ended up winning was $24 million, which allowed for them to make $220,747 per game, which is now $8,000 more than the men. Which, if you think about it, actually makes sense, because the men were being paid more than the women for losing. And a winning team should always make more. And in conclusion, this should demonstrate the fact that soccer is not only a mental and physical game on the field, but it can be able to be interpreted in the political world as well, as it advocates for not only women, but for little young women everywhere to be able to play games that they feel that are equivalent to men. And so, with that being said, the influential figures, the structure, and the history of the game have all provided reasons as to why the game is prominent and it may impact everyone, including those who play and don't play. And for me, I suppose you'll never know how much soccer impacts the player, as well as those who have had the opportunity to be a part of the game as a coach or as a ref. And so it's easy to think that the game may not mean much, but if you look into the history, who it impacts today, and the influencers, you can see that the game provides a lot more than what you may have originally thought.